you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is you don't know what you've got till it's gone. And what we're really talking about today is appreciating what we appreciate while we have it instead of um, appreciating those things through the loss of them. But before we get started, let's just take a minute or two to get present. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, all your organs, bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale, exhale any tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant bright light lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, and energizing all your cells, your molecules, your electrons, creating a brilliant beam of light and energy from your heart out into the world. And as you exhale, exhale any remaining tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's press our palms together. Vigorously rub your hands together to feel the friction, the temperature, the pressure, the motion, the tickling and tingling when you stop. And allow all those sensations to bring you present right here, right now, into this remarkable physical form that enables us to experience life. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning, Rosalind. Great to have you here with us this morning. And welcome to everybody else who's joining us. We're talking about you don't know what you've got till it's gone. And that's sort of an interesting phenomena, right? Is that maybe we have friends that we don't see very regularly, or we have a restaurant that we enjoyed, but we don't go there very often, or we live in a place that we just were living in, and then something changes. So we move, or a friend moves away, or worse, someone passes, and the loss that we feel and the potential, the regret that we may feel at having not appreciated what we appreciate fully when it was available to us, because we have this idea that it's going to go on forever, that things are going to last forever. And so we take things for granted. We take people for granted. We take our circumstances for granted, and just don't necessarily cultivate an experience of appreciation and gratitude. So this comes up from an experience of mine where I'm moving, and I may be moving far away, and I was speaking with somebody who I love dearly, who just hasn't been that available. And this person, it was dawning on them that I was going to be leaving, and it hit them hard, and there were lots of tears and a feeling of loss for not having really enjoyed the fullness of relationship that could have potentially been possible. So I'm not a fan of regret, and I think we often go through phases where maybe we wish we had done something differently. And I'm just here to say today, cherish the people you love. Um, enjoy and appreciate what you're appreciating. And Rosalind says, I often think of my pets and wonder about when they are not here anymore. I thank my little friend for being my buddy every day. I'm so with you on that, Rosalind. My cat Jewel, I adore her still, but she has passed, and I would just say thank you for sharing your life with me. You know, I think pets pets are so much easier in a lot of ways, right, than people can be. And we can share our love with them in a way that's totally unconstrained, right? Where with people are more problematic, right? But to be able to be appreciating what we appreciate while we have it, I think is a real wonderful gift. And to not have to wait until it's gone, or until the threat of it's leaving, or the impending loss. Um, it's funny because we'll make the most of our last bit of time together, right? So when there are these changes, it's sort of a rush to connect because the opportunity isn't going to be as um as accessible. I think it's so interesting because we typically live with that assumption that I can do that later, right? I can get together with that person at another time, or I can take advantage of the sights and sounds that are here another time. Or it's interesting how we put things off, and we don't necessarily allow ourselves to be in that practice of presence and gratitude. I think that that's really kind of what we're talking about, is to love the people you love while you can. Nothing's permanent. And we live as if it is, right? I don't know if you've ever had the experience of having a restaurant that you really enjoyed and then finally deciding to go to the restaurant and finding that it's been closed. That's happened to me a couple times. And it's interesting. It's interesting how we navigate this world of change and impose sort of an illusion of constancy on it. So, or continuity. We really want continuity, despite the fact that things change all the time. Um, and and then we just sort of wake up and find out, oh, it's a different world. I don't know if you've ever lived in a place and then gone away for years and come back, and it's in many ways there are things that have stayed the same, but there are other things that have radically changed. And they say you can't go home again. I think that that's what they're talking about, whoever they are, that things change. Things change. I remember having friendships. I thought they were friendships with people that were my accounts when I was an optical sales rep, where I sold eyeglass frames. So I had clients that I would, or accounts that I would call on over the years, and we got to be friendly, and I went back to visit somebody, and it was almost as if we never knew each other. It was bizarre. And the same with somebody that I thought I had been close friends with, and time went by, and we saw I bumped into them again, and it was very, very different. It was very different for them than it was for me. For me, the warmth was still there, the connection, but I it wasn't reciprocated. And it's just interesting to see when things like that happen. And then there are other friends that I cannot talk to for ages, and when we reconnect, it's like no time has passed. Uh, it's very interesting. And I wonder what it is about the loss of something that makes it more valuable to us somehow. It's an interesting question, I think. And I don't think that that's necessarily a universal truth, but it happens in so many different flavors, I think, for so many of us. And I guess this is where years ago, I think it was in it was a Carlos Castaneda book, and I think that the a portion of the title was a Yaqui way of knowledge, and it's about a man who essentially becomes an apprentice to a shaman. And I remember I read a bunch of the books, so I don't know if it's in that particular book, but they talked about letting your death sort of be a sort of counsel sitting on your left shoulder. And in other words, to be aware that nothing lasts forever, that we don't last forever, that we could die at any moment, and using that knowledge to enrich each moment of our lives, to live each day knowing that it could be our last. And in that respect, not to be living it fearfully, but to be living it in gratitude and appreciation, to be exploring the richness of it, to be embracing life and presence. And I wonder what the world would be if we were able to live more in that way, all of us, to be valuing what we value, and being present to that value, living in gratitude. What would that look like? I know lots of us have gratitude practices, but what is it like to make gratitude or appreciation the a foundational, persistent thrum, tone, rhythm of our lives, to make it the foundational rhythm or melody that we dance our lives to. I think that this notion of appreciation and you don't know what you've got till it's gone kind of thing happens or shows up a lot around our bodies. You know, as we age, as our bodies change. So many of us grow up hating our bodies, hating the way we look. And when we then have the opportunity to look back, we can say, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? You know, like now compared to now, right? And to be able to open ourselves to embracing ourselves, our expression, our relationships, our our experience of life, our emotions, our joys, our situations, to be able to really appreciate it while we have it, and not take it for granted, I think is a gift. It's not necessarily easy because we get so wrapped up in all kinds of things and we don't necessarily consciously appreciate our health, for example, until it's challenged. And then we appreciate what was, if we had health that we lost, for example. So finding appreciation for what we might consider the little things that aren't actually little at all, like health, like being able to breathe, being able to see, being able to hear, being able to think. All of these things are so constant in our lives until they're not. And because they're so constant, we don't even notice them practically. So in not noticing them, it's when they're gone that we realize what we lost. But what if we were able to source our awareness and appreciation for those things as they occur, as we experience them? I mean, with COVID, so many people lost the ability to smell and taste during COVID. So, it's like it was such a treat to be able to taste something, right? It was such a treat to smell things that are delicious in their smell. Rosalind says, when kids live at home until they move away. Yes, right? So kids living at home, being a pain, whatever it is, and then they're gone, and there's the whole empty nest syndrome, right? So if we can learn to appreciate what the gifts of our lives are while we're experiencing them, the deliciousness of tasting, I mean, really, or physical sensations. or beautiful sounds. And even as these things may start falling away, to still be cherishing what we have rather than missing what we don't. It's again that glass, that 8-ounce glass with 4 ounces of water. Are we going to be focusing on what's missing or what's present? And that's our choice. That's our choice. Is when something passes, we can, rather than being lost in the sorrow, eventually, hopefully, we can allow ourselves to cherish the joy that was shared with that person, for example. To appreciate the kids before they move, and to be actually going back in time and not cultivating regrets, but fond memories. So, Rosalind, you're so funny. Rosalind says, we lost an hour with the time change. Yes, that 1 hour lost. Well, it's interesting, right? Because we lost an hour, and we gained daylight, right? At least theoretically. So we humans are just so crazy, the way that we integrate information and the choices that we make to make ourselves miserable, right? It's kind of crazy, kind of nuts. And it can be so much easier. We can make life so much more graceful, easy, and joyful in the choices that we make, in the way that we choose to think about something. And when I was a little kid, I was given, when my parents would say, do you want this one or that one? And I would say both of each. I want both of each. I want it all. So that's really what life is. It's the happy and sad, the good and the bad, and that it's all of it, right? And when we allow ourselves to have it all in that way, then our lives are so much more rich, and we can savor the experience that much more deeply. So that's it for today. I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection, and I go live here each weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page and YouTube channel. So please like, follow, and share. Rosalind says, enjoying the longer daylight. So I just want to give you a heads up. The rest of the week, there are going to be replays because I'm going to Florida. So I'm very excited, and I wish you a wonderful week. And I will see you next week from sunnier climate. So that's it for today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So much gratitude for the opportunity to share these morning musings. So until